Hello everyone, this is Wednesday's English lesson, and this week, as you remember, we are looking at the persuasive techniques that advertisers use to engage us and persuade us to care about their message. We are focusing on adverts that have environmental messages, and yesterday we started working on planning the writing for a new animal rights advert that could sit alongside these others in the Animals Are Not Clowns campaign. So, as you know, we learned about juxtaposition yesterday. This is the technique of presenting two contrasting concepts side by side to create an effect upon the reader and show the difference in stark contrast. In this case, the juxtaposition was between the fun of the circus, in words and phrases such as roll up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, a big round of applause, come and see, laugh, applaud and join in with, against the misery of the circus in words and phrases such as the crack of the whip, the animal's stinging wounds, the number of cages and tightly binding chains allowing no escape, routines typical of depressed animals under great stress. Now hopefully you have your two sets of ideas planned out from yesterday with you now to help you get started. If you don't, go and get them. You're going to need them both ready to start writing. Here are mine ready to go. Now, before I begin composing my advert text, I need to make sure that I'm not missing any opportunities to create pathos here, that emotional connection that I'm hoping to achieve in my reader. Are there any words and phrases that I could make any stronger here? That's what I'm going to be thinking about. Take a look at your notes and see, are there any weaker language choices that you think you could up-level and make more emotive? Let's take a look back at the strong emotive language that we picked out from the original advert. Wounds were not just wounds, but let me get my highlighter for a second. I'm going to put it in red. They were stinging wounds. That sort of emotive language that we were looking for. The hoops were not just hoops, but flaming hoops. Injuries were mentioned, electric shocks, not just chains, but tightly binding chains. We're looking for opportunities in our own writing to see if we can up-level our word choices to create that pathos. So go back to your notes now. I'm going to do the same. Now those word choices from the original text, like tightly binding chains, great stress, these were words which were chosen carefully to convey the pain and suffering. So I'm just going to make sure that I've got that in my notes. So let's have a look back and see what we can up-level to make them more emotive. I'm focusing on this particular side, the negative side of my notes. Now I think I've got a few here that I'm looking at that I could up-level to create a little more pathos. Instead of using squeezed into tiny tanks, I think I'm going to change that into forced. And not just tiny tanks, that sounds a little bit too cute to me. I'm going to go for minute tanks to really convey how small they are. What else can I see? Now, perform for food. Perform sounds quite jolly. I'm going to change that word to enslaved for food. What else can I change here? Fins collapse due to stress. Now, this looks like an opportunity for me to add an adjective in here. I'm going to change this to, horrendous stress. What else? Separated from their mothers. How about an adverb here? Cruelly separated from their mothers. And what else do I have? Sunburnt. Painful. Sunburnt would really hit home with my reader, I think. And lastly, instead of need medicines, which makes it sound like they're doing something which is the right thing to do, I'm going to put force-fed. And not just force-fed medicines to keep them healthy, but force-fed medicines to keep them alive. I think that sounds a little stronger. Now, take a few minutes to look back at your planned notes and do the same. What can you add or change to get across your intended emotion to the reader? Can you add any adjectives to describe the nouns or adverbs to describe the verbs to do the job well for you here and create that pathos? Take a few minutes to do that now. Now that we've got our notes into the best possible shape, Our writing process will be really easy today, I think. So firstly, remember the style and the layout of the original advert. We're going to use the same title because it's part of the same LPDA campaign. That's what we're aiming for. So we're going to keep animals and not clowns. We could keep the final line too if we want to. And actually for mine, I think I will. I like that closing line, clowning around, that's no fun at all. We're also going to keep the same strap line at the end of our advert. Animal circuses don't be part of the show. What we're going to do, what we're going to write today, is the middle part here for our own new version, which is going to be about orca shows. We'll look at this layout again once we've written our draft advert, because adding the title, the final line and the strap line is going to be part of our neat copy. So now we're ready to begin. The juxtaposition effect that we're trying to create comes from placing the two contrasting ideas that we have in our notes here side by side. So all I'm going to do is take one or two of my openers here, but instead with finishing with something exciting and happy, I'm going to take an idea from the negative side of my notes here to add the emotive phrases. Now remember, this advert is only around 5 sentences long, so every single word choice we make must create the tone that we're after. It has to count, it has to create that emotion in our reader. No weak word choices will do here when we have so few words to use, and advertisers know this well. So I've done a little bit of a model for you to show you here how I've done it, but hopefully you'll see as I pull each sentence across, all I have really done is take something from this side and finish it with something from this side. Take something from this side and finish it with something from this side, all the while thinking about, could I make that language even stronger as I write? So here we go. Here's my first sentence. Roll up, roll up. Come and see some of the ocean's most majestic creatures forced into minute concrete tanks where they will never know the feel of the waves and tides. Do you see how I've taken an idea from here and here, but I've just added that little bit of extra to make it hit home? And again, my second sentence. Scream in delight at the sight of animals enslaved for food, performing monotonous tricks for unnatural rewards. Now, the use of the word monotonous, I sort of borrowed that from the original advert. They used the word repetitive. I chose to go for monotonous. I've up-leveled it, I think, there. On we go. Watch the spectacular leaps and spins of creatures with dorsal fins collapsed through horrendous stress. Do you see how I'm doing this? This is what I've taken, and this is what I've added. My fourth sentence. Marvel at the painful sunburn and injuries sustained by these performers as they act their parts for your pleasure. Hear the music and be amazed at the wonder of these ocean predators kept alive with antibiotics. And I think my 5 sentences there, and then the final line. Clowning around, that's no fun at all. That's all I really need. Have I created the pathos that I intended? I can always go back now and do some little bits of tweaks on any of the word choices that I think needed to be up-leveled. So now it's over to you. It's your turn. Use your planning to create your own advert in the same style. You can do exactly the same thing that I've done here. Take an idea, add into it. Take a positive idea, add the juxtaposition, backwards and forwards, and then go back and add any more emotive language that you can. And then when you're done, what you're going to do is check your draft and edit it really carefully to make sure that it makes sense, that you've got your punctuation in there. And when you're done drafting and you're happy with your lines, what we would like you to do is create your finished advert with the backing image of an orca in the same vein as the original. Now, I've done a little bit of a pro forma to show you here. The orca will need makeup added. I haven't done this on the pro forma, which you could use if you wanted to. This is on the Google Drive, but if you prefer to draw your own, that is absolutely fine too. I've left the orca blank. So the orca will need the same kind of clown makeup that the other creatures had. And then you're going to add your own text using the same title, the same finishing line perhaps, and the same strap line. Just remember to add those titles in if you're drawing this out yourself and you're not printing it out. And then when you're done, make sure that you look really, really carefully through your advert. It may well only be 5 sentences long, but like the original, the commas and full stops, the apostrophes for possession, the exclamation marks if you're using them, are absolutely crucial if your writing is to be read clearly. Really take the time today to read it back and ensure the punctuation is accurate. So that's your job for today. You're going to draft using your plan, then you're going to make sure that you edit and you up level to make sure that you've got the juxtaposition and you've got the pathos that you wanted through the emotive language choices, and then you're going to present your finished copy, which you could, if you choose to, print out the pro forma from the Google Drive. You could do it straight onto there, but I'd love to see your own drawings as well. So that's it. It's over to you now. I can't wait to see your adverts from today, Year 6. Please send them in when you can. Well done, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow for our next advert lesson.